You are kneeling on the ground in the Alberta boreal forest. It is November, 31 degrees. A cold rain has been falling since yesterday, and every surface around you is wet. The moss, the bark, the duff beneath your boots. Your hands are numb, and in your right pocket you have exactly one match. One. The man standing behind you, quiet, white-haired, 76 years old, has been watching soldiers do this for 40 years. He is not worried. He already knows you're going to get this fire lit, because he taught you something 15 minutes ago that changed everything you thought you knew about wet wood. One match. Zero accelerant. Zero commercial fire-starting product. In field testing conducted across 4 decades of military survival training in Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Sweden, this technique produced a stable, self-sustaining fire in wet conditions, with a success rate that made every ferro rod, every fire paste, and every $40 tinder kit on the market completely irrelevant. And when you understand why one match is enough, you will understand exactly why the outdoor gear industry spends billions hoping you never learn it. The first time I heard about this, I did not believe it. A single match. In the rain. I thought it was campfire mythology, the kind of story old-timers tell to one-up each other at deer camp. So I went looking. I drove north to meet a man named Gerald who runs a bush skills school outside Hinton, Alberta, a small town on the edge of the boreal forest about 3 hours west of Edmonton. Gerald had trained under Mors Kochanski personally, learned directly from the man. He told me to bring a knife and nothing else. It was October. Cold drizzle. The forest floor was soaked. Everything I touched was wet. Gerald walked me to a stand of spruce, pointed at a dead branch still attached to the trunk about chest height, and told me to snap it off. I did. The outside was damp, but when he took his knife and split it open, the inside was bone dry, pale, almost white. He held it up and said, "Every dead standing tree in this forest has dry wood inside it right now. It has been raining for 3 days, and I could start 40 fires with what is within arm's reach of where you're standing." I stood there for a moment, looking at that dry heartwood in the middle of a soaking wet forest, and realized I had been doing it wrong my entire life. Every time I had struggled with a fire in wet weather, cursing, blowing on damp kindling, burning through half a box of matches, the solution had been 6 feet above the ground the whole time, on the tree, not on the floor. That sentence has stuck with me ever since. The man who turned this principle into a teachable military protocol was named Mors Kochanski, born November 10th, 1940, in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Son of Polish immigrants who had fled Europe in 1938, 2 years before the war swallowed everything they left behind. Mors grew up on a remote farm with no electricity until he was 10 years old. He walked 7 miles to school each day through boreal bush. By the time he was a teenager, the forest was not a hobby. It was the world he lived in. In 1968, at 28 years old, Kochanski began working at Blue Lake Center near Hinton, Alberta, running outdoor education programs. That same year, he met a man named Tom Roycraft, the senior civilian survival instructor for the Royal Canadian Air Force. Roycraft had spent years teaching downed pilots how to survive in the northern wilderness with almost nothing. His fire-starting protocol used 50 feather sticks and a tripod platform. It worked, but Kochanski saw that it could be simplified. Over the next decade, Kochanski refined the method. He stripped it to its essentials: standing deadwood, a knife, and a single ignition source. He developed the tinder bundle, a fist-sized nest of ultra-thin wood shavings that could be held in the hand like a torch, elevated off the wet ground and lit with one match. He co-instructed survival courses for the Canadian Department of National Defense. He trained military personnel from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Sweden. In 1986, he published a book called Northern Bushcraft, later renamed Bushcraft, Outdoor Skills and Wilderness Survival, which became an international bestseller and is still considered the definitive text on boreal survival. But here's where it gets interesting. Kochanski spent 40 years proving that a man with a knife and a single match could do what the outdoor industry was charging $50, $60, $80 in gear to accomplish. His most famous line, "The more you know, the less you carry," was not philosophy. It was a direct challenge to an economic model. The North American outdoor gear market was valued at $23.8 billion in 2024. $23.8 billion. And a meaningful slice of that revenue comes from fire-starting products alone. Ferro rods at $15 to $40 each, fire paste at $8 to $15 a tube, waterproof matches at $8 to $12 a box, complete fire-starting kits at $30 to $60. Products engineered to solve a problem that Kochanski had already solved with a single match and a fixed blade knife. Not because his technique was theoretical, because he had demonstrated it in military field conditions, in rain and snow, in sub-zero cold, for 4 decades, across 4 countries, to thousands of soldiers whose lives depended on it working. He died on December 5th, 2019, at 79 years old, peritoneal mesothelioma. And the industry he spent his life making irrelevant is still selling you the same $30 fire-starting kit he proved you do not need. And here is the part nobody tells you. The reason this works comes down to one principle that 99% of campers do not understand: how water moves through dead wood. When a tree dies but remains standing, it dries from the inside out. Rain hits the bark, moisture soaks into the outer layers. But the heartwood, the dense core, stays dry. Even after days of continuous rain, the interior of a dead standing branch can be bone dry. The water simply has not had enough time to penetrate. The key word is standing. Wood on the ground absorbs moisture from the soil through capillary action. It sits in puddles. It soaks like a sponge. A branch that has been on the forest floor for 48 hours is useless, but the same species of wood from the same tree, still attached to the trunk 6 feet above the ground. That wood is dry inside. Snap it off. If it breaks clean with a sharp crack, the heartwood is ready. Now, here is the part that should keep you up at night, because it means every time you struggled with a wet weather fire, the fuel you needed was directly above your head. The second principle is surface area. A solid piece of dry wood will not ignite from a single match. The flame is too small, the exposure time too short. But if you take that same wood and shave it into dozens of paper-thin curls, what Kochanski called feather sticks, you multiply the surface area by a factor of 10 or more. More surface area means more oxygen contact. More oxygen contact means faster ignition. A well-made feather stick with 20 or 30 curls will catch from a single match flame in under 3 seconds. Coniferous woods, cedar, pine, spruce, work best because the natural resin acts as an accelerant. Birch bark contains a compound called betulin, a natural oil that will ignite even when wet. These are not exotic materials. They are the most common trees in North America. Now, if you're thinking this only works in the Canadian wilderness with 40 years of practice, stay with me, because what I am about to show you works in any forest, in any state, this weekend. The entire process takes 15 to 20 minutes once you know the steps. What you need: 1 match or lighter, 1 fixed blade knife. Not a folding knife, a fixed blade with at least a 4-inch edge. Access to a forest with standing dead trees. That is it. Step 1, collect. Find dead branches still attached to standing trees. Not on the ground, on the tree. Snap them off. If the break is clean and dry sounding, keep it. If it bends or sounds damp, discard it. Collect a generous armful of pencil-thin dead sticks for kindling, and 3 to 4 fist-thick pieces for fuel. Step 2, build your platform. Take one of the thicker pieces and split it lengthwise using your knife and a baton. Place the blade on the end of the wood and strike the spine with another piece of wood. Lay the split half-flat side up on the ground. This is your fire platform. It insulates the ignition point from the wet earth. The mistake most people make is building directly on wet ground. Without a platform, moisture wicks upward and kills the fire before it ever catches. Step 3, make feather sticks. Take 3 to 4 kindling sticks. Strip the wet bark with your knife. Expose the dry heartwood underneath. It will be pale white or yellowish. Hold the stick at an angle and shave thin curls down the length of the wood at roughly 30 degrees, leaving every curl attached to the body. Each feather stick should have at least 10 to 15 curls. The thinner, the better. If your curls are thicker than a dime, they are too thick. You want paper thin. Step 4, build the tinder bundle. Nest your feather sticks together with any birch bark, resin, or loose shavings into a fist-sized bundle. It should be loose enough for air to circulate, but dense enough to concentrate heat. Step 5, arrange your kindling. Organize remaining sticks from thinnest to thickest within arm's reach. Everything prepared before the match is struck. And this is where most people fail. They light the match before the materials are ready and then scramble. Step 6, ignite. Place the tinder bundle on the platform. Lean your thinnest kindling around it in a teepee shape with an opening facing you. Strike the match. Shield the flame. Insert it at the base of the bundle, never the top. Heat rises, so the fire must start at the bottom. When smoke appears, blow gently and steadily, not hard, not weak. A continuous, controlled breath. Add thin kindling progressively as flames grow. Never pile everything on at once. You will smother it. Graduate to thicker wood only when you have visible flame and glowing coals. Once you have the basic technique, the advanced modification is this. In heavy rain, position your body as a windbreak. If you have a jacket or poncho, rig it overhead as a rain shield during ignition. And look for fatwood, the resin-saturated heartwood found at the base of dead pine branches. It is essentially nature's fire paste, and it is free. This technique did not disappear because it stopped working. It worked for Mors Kochanski in 1968. It worked for Tom Roycraft, teaching downed pilots for the Royal Canadian Air Force. It worked for every soldier who trained under that protocol across 4 countries over 4 decades. It disappeared from common knowledge because nobody profits when you can start a fire in the rain with a single match and a knife you already own. If you are the kind of person who believes that real outdoor knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do. Tell me in the comments, Have you ever been caught in the rain with no fire and no way to start one? What did you do? What would you have done differently knowing this? I read every comment on this channel. Next week, I'm going to show you a way to read deer tracks that tells you not just where the animal went, but how fast it was moving, how long ago it passed, and whether it knew you were there. The last generation of Appalachian trackers learned this by age 12. Most modern hunters have never heard of it. You will not want to miss that one.